What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man. It's 28 November, Monday, bright and sunny morning. Morning.
It's beginning to feel a lot like
what?
the monsoon season. Like the monsoon season.
Oh, the monsoon. Why?
I'm playing the song, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas and all.
What song is that?
It's the Christmas song that always plays around this time of the year. Okay,
it's beginning to feel like...
It's fine.
It's beginning to feel like...
You're dead inside. Mariah Carey means nothing to you at this point.
No, Mariah Carey is all I want is for you. All I want for Christmas is you.
Yeah, correct lah. This one's the Michael Bublé one.
Hey, I like Michael Bublé.
Like Chris, and you don't even know the one song that he sings.
No, that you have to sing it lah. You say the title, it doesn't ring a bell. But when you give that little hint of it, I got it. Or maybe I guess
I guess this all ties into the important question we ask every Monday. Harish, how do you feel about your wedding prep now on a scale of 1 to 10? Actually, without going into all the details.
Yeah. I would say 7 today.
Oh, really? Wow.
But a big reason is because I think I finally reached the limit of not caring anymore about a lot of things.
What does that mean? Like you can't not care when there's such a big event about to happen.
No,
right?
not say I don't care about the event. I don't care about a lot of things that just
people's feelings lah. You don't care about people's feelings.
Yeah, no. I care so much about people's feelings.
Yeah.
Really? I care so much. But hey, Terrence, don't give me the shit, okay? I care so much about people's feelings. But it's just...
So what does it mean to not care? Yeah.
I guess some things that whenever you're planning something like this, some things will continuously annoy you, trigger you and all. But yeah, I think now it's almost you're forced to not give a shit about so many things that in like normal times I would. But now I'm like, you know what? It's best to focus on the good things. And there are a lot of good things. So when I take that mindset, I'm like, oh, wait, it's sunshine and roses everywhere.
So what's the good thing? What's the good thing?
The good thing is that it's just like the hearing from the friends, knowing that on that day my closest friends and family and all will be together. And I mean, some of my friends are flying in as well. And it's just the festive time, the end of year holidays and all. It's just a nice feeling. It's just a nice feeling. So I'm trying to focus on that. Okay. But I can tell you're trying to just poke and let this. No,
I'm just giving you the space. I'm giving you a safe space to talk about wedding prep with no judgment at all.
No, there's a very volatile, very fragile sheet of ice or an eggshell that's covering a lot. That's just bubbling underneath, and you just want one crack to come out, right, Terrence?
No. It's just as always. It's just you don't need. I say you don't need to go into details. You just need to know like quantitative assessment of how the whole situation is lah. Because I think you had all your groomsmen all meet for the first time over the weekend, right? And and I fell sick over the weekend, so I couldn't make it. But because I knew that you would probably get very pissed off about it, I had to take a photo of my thermometer just to show you that I wasn't king to avoid your thing. You're the only person I had to take a photo of my thermometer to tell that I can't make it to meet up today lah.
Yeah, Terrence, when you sent me that photo, I figured you were thinking that. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy, like, okay? I know him for how long already? And if he thinks at this point in time, I don't trust when he says he's sick. I'm like, Terrence, that's on you, man. That's on you.
No, because I know that generally I know how it is after the weekends. Like it's either it's gonna be a 4 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 kind of weekend. So I was like, let's assume it's a 4 out of 10 weekend. How will he react to news of me skipping his groomsmen dinner? Yeah.
No, I mean, Terrence even called me, Because when you called me, then I was like, I was paying for some catering or something. I was like, why is he calling me to tell me this? Then after that, I saw the message. I saw the photo of the thermometer. I was like, oh, this guy thinks I'm going to be angry. Never mind. I'm not going to clear the air. I'm going to let him think.
Yeah,
Hold on, dude. Come on,
because
dude.
it's totally. I understand how it feels like when I think back when I was managing this whole process of groomsmen and all that as well. I think I invited all my groomsmen for a barbecue at my place with all the bridesmaids. I think like seven bridesmaids turned up and one groomsman turned up.
Was it me?
No, it wasn't even you. Yeah,
it wasn't me. I remember there was a brunch. I remember there was a brunch.
There was then I had to organize a separate brunch because nobody wanted to come for the barbecue. And I was like, okay, fine. But I wasn't pissed off. I was just like, okay, it's just how it is. At least the bridesmaids got to meet up.
Even it's like, that's why the next day I messaged you. I'm like, dude, don't worry about yesterday, man. It was really cool. It was really cool. I know as we get older also, if we get married when we're 25, 26 and all, by the time you come 30 plus, like, okay, like I just want people to come and there are going to be opportunities for people to come. But I do enjoy you thinking that I was going to be annoyed. I do enjoy it. Enjoy it.
That's the default, right? Isn't it? Like that's
Terrence,
Harish Tilani on a Monday morning. That's how we start. And then if it happens to be a 7 out of 10 weekend, then we work from there, lah.
Anyway, no. Anyway, yes. Yeah, we digress. Yeah.
We digress. But, there's actually a lot to get through today as well, right? Big topics. Big weighty topics.
Big weighty topics, yeah. But before that, Terrence, is there anything you want to plug?
In general, if this podcast has brought you any joy this past year, help us bring it to more people this holiday season as well, as they nestle in their cozy backyards or in front of the campfires if they have one in Singapore, and give them something to listen to over a cup of Milo or hot coffee. Just recommend this podcast to anyone. And if you haven't already, or if you've done that already and you still want to help us out, help us out by leaving us a rating on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Yeah.
Cool, man. Awesome.
Cool.
Okay, so
shall we jump right into the first topic?
Yeah, and the first topic is a big one. It's so big concerning such a big country as well. It is the news of protests spreading more than we've ever seen before in recent times in China, like public protests.
That's right.
I think right now it is happening in Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou. Correct? Yeah, and you're seeing...
I think Wuhan as well, right?
Okay, yes. So I mean, even as we are recording now, there might be new popping up. But it is I guess why it's such a shock to anyone who sees the news and all is because over the past few decades, the concept of a public protest in China is unheard of, lah. And now there are videos, and it's it's being showed around all the major news networks. Of course, the Western media is lapping up that shit. But I mean, that's where we're at now. I think now it's just a lot of videos circulating, a lot of articles talking about the state of protests. But I think everyone has probably heard of the intensity of lockdowns in China for COVID lah, over the past few months, especially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends in China?
Yes, I do. I haven't caught up with them or heard from them in a while since lockdown started happening. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't have a direct line to the ground onto what's happening there. But yeah, it is quite amazing what you're seeing in China compared to. I mean, and part of this maybe is because we're watching a very big sporting event like the World Cup happening in Qatar right now, right? And people just flying in and out, people mingling, people all having fun. In spite of all the controversies that people are talking about in Qatar. But then you hear about what's going on in China where even people can't even get out to buy lunch or anything because of the lockdowns in certain parts of the city. Of course, like you said, like that there could be some exaggeration in Western media about what's the scale of these lockdowns, but you can't deny that there's footage of protesters being arrested. There's footage of protesters being beat down by police in full protective gear. So it's kind of amazing, not amazing, but kind of scary just watching what's going on in China, like compared to what is happening in the rest of the world with the World Cup and celebrating the end of year festivities and all that. It just feels like it's two different realities that Chinese people and the rest of the world are living in.
Yeah. And I mean, like, just on a very high level, of course, you know, the COVID was first detected in China at the end of 2019. And then 2020, it started spreading. I think when the whole world went into lockdown, China was in lockdown as well. But by the end of 2020, their economy started opening up, and things it looked like they had things under control, like at least strict control. But throughout 2021, there would be spikes here and there in certain parts of China, and they would always subsequently result in a lockdown here or a lockdown there. And it was probably amongst the strictest in the world. And then 2022, I think 2021, because the rest of the world, including Singapore, still had some level of restrictions. And it was also just the second year of lockdowns. Maybe it was more manageable, because I do have a couple of friends in China who somehow have access to WhatsApp, and they update our WhatsApp groups, and you can almost see over the past few years how things around the world contrast so much with what is happening in China. I mean, we were in Singapore and we felt it, right? You know, when other countries were having the Freedom Day, we were still wearing masks, and it really felt like, wow, bloody hell, like that. But imagine in China, this year, there have been incidents. I think May, June, July, there was always a little spikes here and there, and if you Google it, you can find the details. But what happened in November? There was a few deaths that kind of took things. They broke the camel's back. On 2nd November, there was a 3-year-old boy who died in Lanzhou, reportedly after a delay in receiving treatment due to movement restrictions. So that went viral on social media, and there was a lot of public anger. And people were already taking to the streets, and they were confronting the officers. And I think that's where you could already see certain aspects of the riot police taking it out physically on the protesters. Then on 24th November, on Thursday, there was a apartment fire in the city of Urumqi, which is in the Xinjiang province, and 10 people died because they couldn't escape because of the restrictions, or allegedly.
Allegedly,
yeah, allegedly. So that caused another spark, and that, I think, seeded the most recent wave of protests around China. And how it traveled to the bigger cities was certain universities held vigils for the 10 people who died, and that slowly grew in size, and then it became a protest. And when videos of people being beaten and wrestled to the ground, that just sparked more protests. So that's where we are at now, where people are literally calling for Xi Jinping to step down. Which
I mean, you think about just a few weeks ago, he had the China Communist Party, the Congress, right, where he basically declared that he was going to run for the third term as the president, right? So it's kind of seeing these images so close to each other, where, you know, on one hand he was declaring almost unanimous support for his own regime, and then now you're seeing such protests starting to spread around the country, almost like a virus itself. It's kind of crazy times, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you know, as the resident Chinese expert for our brand, well, when you look back into your ancestry and heritage, or even growing up,
yes,
how does this jive with what you know of China?
I think the image that most people have of Chinese, or at least on the ground, what people think about Chinese, right, very specifically, is that there's this they don't care about people's feelings, people's emotions. All they care about is capitalism and making money, right? I think in the last 20 to 30 years, 20, 30 years, there's been this image of the Chinese person as generally uncaring about all the basic human rights, as long as it doesn't affect them, lah, right? And it's all about amassing wealth or making money for yourself. But I think in the past, past couple of years, especially with COVID and all, you've seen that. I think everyone has started to realize that, what's the point of being safe, or what's the point of even like economic growth or anything, or when you don't have the basic freedom to just move around the country. You don't have the freedom to see relatives. You don't have freedom to just live your life, lah. That's what I think that a lot of younger Chinese people have been coming to realize. And I think there was even an incident of in the last week or something of employees trying to escape the lockdown at a Foxconn facility, right? Foxconn is the big supplier of iPhones. Yeah, it's the China supplier to iPhones to Apple. And there's been some really disturbing footage of the employees from Foxconn literally scaling like wire fences, carrying luggage, trying to get out of the facility, which is under lockdown, and then running up to an expressway that is like end to end of the expressway. It's being blocked by uniformed police officers wearing PPE gear, So it's like really surreal kind of images and stuff out of like dystopian sci-fi horror movies. So, it's people they're literally trying to escape from these lockdowns. I think there was also footage of a crowd trying to break out of an IKEA store that was about to be locked down, and they were just like swarming and trying to run past security guards. So it's kind of, I think people are coming to realize that, as much as China's COVID-0 policy was effective in preventing a lot of deaths especially amongst the senior population. At what expense does this policy come with? Like sacrificing a lot of personal freedoms and what it means to even live your life, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think up to now, the most shocking thing that we have all heard about Foxconn before is that the conditions of work were so bad that they were kind of jumping off and killing themselves, right? So it just feels like, I mean, what the hell goes on inside Foxconn is like a topic for a whole different day. But just the way I guess we've always known of the censorship in China, the Great Firewall of China. We know how China tends to clamp down on anything that kind of goes against their narrative or goes against the government. But now to see it so publicly, it's almost surreal and almost feels like, is it almost manufactured? Is it fabricated? And I think one thing you brought up just now was that it's in the context of the World Cup. One thing that has been happening, and there are clips of it online, is that CCTV Sports, which is the sports network in China that is showing the World Cup, they are editing on the fly or somehow managing to edit what is shown to people watching the World Cup in China. Do you hear about this?
No, I haven't.
So if you see the clips online, right, when you watch a football game, it will show the players, and then after they kick, maybe the keeper saves, it goes out to the corner, they will cut to the coaches and then cut to the crowd. And apparently there's been so many complaints on Chinese social media of the people seeing the footage of crowds around the world or in Qatar not wearing masks, right? That CCTV Sports now doesn't cut to the crowd. They either focus on close-ups on the coaches or on the players on the field. And there are clips online that put side-by-side comparison and like, oh shit, how are they doing that? How are they doing that?
Wow, crazy. And then, I mean, in case anyone here in Singapore thinks that all this stuff going on in China doesn't affect you, it does, because, like what we talked about the Foxconn issue. Yeah, what we talked about the Foxconn issue. It's I mean, it will directly affect iPhone shipments throughout Christmas, I suppose. And if you're looking to get a new iPhone for Christmas for a loved one as a gift, it's going to be, it might be hard to find one.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, even if you Google like COVID China impact or something, basically the oil prices have dropped to the lowest since 2021. which given the volatility of oil, it's quite a big thing. Stocks around Asia have been affected by COVID. China's economic growth forecast has also been cut because now not only are the lockdowns getting more intense, it's because the numbers are hitting the highest since the height of the COVID in 2020.
Yeah.
Of course, you can argue what does numbers of COVID cases in China mean? How accurate is it? It's getting high. I guess on the flip side, the positive thing is that it doesn't feel like other countries are getting too anxious about COVID resurging in their own countries. Like Singapore is almost like an afterthought now.
Yeah. I think if you listen to a lot of the analysts talking about this, they're saying that the China's COVID zero policy was almost too successful at the start for its own good. In the sense like what you mentioned in 2020, it was very successful at curbing the spread of COVID and COVID deaths in the country. And back then it was hailed as internationally as, oh, that's a model we should follow. You remember how Wuhan was the first place in the world to be locked down because of COVID? And everyone was talking about how surreal it was and all. But that really, was the start of China really curbing deaths. But maybe because it was so successful at curbing the spread of COVID, actually vaccination rates amongst the elderly aren't as high as they should be. I think the number is like only 66% of seniors in China are vaccinated, and only 40% have got a booster jab, which compares. It's much lesser to say a country like the US, where 90% of seniors are vaccinated. So it's, and don't forget, China also, because of political reasons, they also insist on using the inactivated vaccine, the Sinovac. Compared to mRNA. And now they're still pushing their own, they're doing research on their own mRNA vaccines and not bringing in Pfizer biotech the vaccine instead. So for a lot of political reasons, China is refusing to back down from its COVID zero policy, and it's kind of stuck in this conundrum where, if they really remove the COVID zero policy and let it, spread its way through the population, because the population is not as vaccinated and protected against the harmful effects of the virus, you could see a lot of seniors, like millions of seniors, perishing from COVID, from Omicron, especially the Omicron variant. That's why they're caught in a bind of, they kind of have to stick to their guns, but at the same time they need to find a way out of this, because economic growth and people's mental health and all these things are other factors, other forms of danger that will face that China will face if they don't get rid of this COVID zero policy.
Yeah, and I think it's a Singaporean professor based in Hong Kong, Donald Low, who's also been commenting on this. He's been kind of writing about Hong Kong and China for quite a while. And I saw one article by South China Morning Post that quoted him and saying something along the lines of what you said. And even to build on that, it is even the psyche of the people, right? Understanding that COVID is something that is here to stay and that you need to learn to live with. Because you think even Singapore, right? Now, I know some people still wear masks outside, but for the longest time, most people were like, you cannot imagine not wearing masks. I know even between you and I, we had some debates about why not just wear masks versus no, it's here to stay, just wear masks. And then even for my mom, she's 72, she still wears masks outside. But generally, I think people are a bit more, like COVID, we need to live with it. But there was a time where we're like, fuck, man, everything COVID is just like, holy shit, how the hell are we going to deal with this? And if you put that to a country of 1 billion people, right? Man, how's that?
Yeah, remember at one point we were contact tracing like every single case, and then like there was like daily news updates of where they went to and which hotel they stayed at and everything. And then it was you just look back at that and then you think about it now, and 10,000 cases a day. Okay, fine, whatever. Just
and now
wear your mask and get on with life.
Now if you meet someone, you just had COVID last week. Oh, okay, Ken, you want a drink? It's just like one of those things that, oh shit, like, and I think it sometimes when I stop and think, I'm like, oh shit, that was actually quite a ridiculous few years where in the thick of it, we're like, oh my God, how the hell are we going to get out with this? But it's so easy to forget that what we went through. But then you look at China, what they're going through now in those cities is the same.
Yeah.
It is
and the crazy
same.
thing is that, you have all these examples of other countries, what other countries have been through, and all this new knowledge to work with. And you can't, I think it's so difficult to keep trying to keep the whole population in a barrel, right? And tell them that this is good for them when they're literally hearing from and seeing other countries just living life as per normal as, pre 2019 already, right? Pre 2020 actually. Yeah. So it's just, I think something big has to happen to, like, either they have to budge on somewhat on the COVID zero policy, or these protests could grow and become a lot bigger, and therefore trigger some kind of response from the armed forces in China or something, which is the worst case scenario that anyone can think of. It's going to be a PR disaster. It's going to be like a humanitarian PR disaster for the whole world, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know, man, you just look like in China. I think now because it's more public, you start to realize, China is not all like like the new unconfirmed superpower of the world and all that. Now there are more articles being written about how, if China doesn't overtake the US economy by 2030, it will never overtake it. And then you see what's happening in Russia, Ukraine, you see what's happening in the US. Like, oh man, the world is at an interesting place right now, man.
Yeah. So I mean, hope, prayers for China, right? You can never imagine like people saying that kind of thing, but I think the Chinese people are going through a lot right now.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, if somehow you are in China, somehow you can access Reddit or Instagram, and you have stuff to share that would either like school us or kind of add to whatever we said, please just hit us up, man, somehow.
Yeah.
Even a dial-in might be possible. Cool, man.
From one very weighty issue that's weighing down on the whole world to another very, very weighty issue that's weighing down the shoulders of one strong man in Singapore. What is this topic?
Literally and figuratively strong man, huh?
Yeah. That's right.
It is the surprising number of articles that came out today, waxing lyrical about Shanmugam, our law minister, breaking his new personal best for the deadlift. Previously, it was 105 kilograms, which was filmed on video last year that went viral. Now it's 125 kilograms. So, Terence, why would you want to talk about this?
Isn't it like, I mean, in line with everything that's going on around the world, like that this is such a big piece of news as well, that there are multiple articles written about it. Isn't that like kind of tell you the state of things in Singapore right now, right?
Yeah, like literally, like, okay, to the mainstream media's credit, it's only Mothership and Asia One that wrote about it, lah. It's not on Straits Times, it's not on Today or anything, and I'm glad for that, because the fact that this made more than just one article also, I'm like, huh? Like, you can imagine if any other politician did this, or especially if an opposition politician did this, it would just be seen as like, why are you wasting your time, doing this kind of shit? Can you focus on the policies that will make Singapore great? But because it's Shanmugam.
But I mean, to counter that, isn't he putting his money where his mouth is in terms of, living a healthy lifestyle, even in his in an advanced age and all, and not only keeping his mind nimble, but also keeping his body and his bones like strong as well. Isn't that a message that you want to send to seniors across Singapore? So isn't he doing a good thing that way?
I mean, I guess like he did say that when he equaled his 105 record, or like when he lifted 110 kilograms, which broke his record of 105, he was ready to stop lah. But then he said the mental toughness of him came out, and his motivation was to set an example, to encourage other people to try and get healthy lah. So on that note, okay lah, I guess. But it just felt like when this hit the news, and I think it is on Google Trends and all, I'm like, walao eh. Like how we said when there were a few interviews of Shanmugam, and like the interviews were like smiling the whole time and literal fanboys. It feels like it's part of that, It's part of that.
And I do feel like this we're just reading about. I wasn't actually there or anything, but just reading about it sounded like he had his own personal trainer there to guide him along the way.
His own
and all
personal
that,
trainer.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I would have loved to see if it was a more organic, activity that he was doing rather than something that you require a personal trainer there to help you load your weights onto the plates onto your weights and all that. Because then that to me sounds a bit like, wow, how much are you paying this guy to do this for you? And can every senior afford this in order to be healthy? You know what
Terrence,
I mean? You know how
Terrence,
every time you see
what happened
like
to the message, Terrence? What happened to the message?
But every time you see like a celebrity like what's his name? Who's the guy who plays Thor?
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, and you see his abs, or you see Jennifer Lopez and how good she looks at her age and all that. Then you realize there's a whole fitness industry that is backing her up. Like, she's got multiple trainers and a dietitian to help her with her food and all that. And she has the means to pay for all that stuff, right? Which regular people with like 9-to-5s and without access to expensive gym equipment and all that don't have. And so then it begs the question of like, is it realistic to have these kind of expectations when the celebrities are paying that much money to do it? And then it's never just about your will or your motivations, about your access to all these things as well, right? So when I see, hey, Shanmugam, okay, he did this cool, but then like, the trainer is like the one helping him put in the weights and the plate and giving him advice. I'm like, okay, that's great that you got this guy who can give that to you like that. But I would have, if any, a stronger message would have been like, if you did something that was more organically accessible to everyone else to do. Or do you think I'm being a fucking I'm gonna stick out my backside for thinking that way?
I think so. I think you deadlifted something up your ass lah. No, because you can say that about anyone. Anyone who maybe runs their own business, runs their own company. But at the same time, if you have if you run your own company, you have employees, or I don't know, if you have people to help you do certain stuff that other people do themselves, that is already a position of privilege lah, right? And we like everyone is probably got some privilege in their lives in some way of shape or form. But does that take away from the fact that it's still lifting 125 kilos, bro? At the age of 63.
Correct. Yeah. But I'm saying maybe it's like, what I'm saying is that it could be something more symbolic of the community and everything, like, like lifting like cement or something. Yeah, no.
Fuck.
I didn't go there. You went there. I was going to say lifting like cement or bricks or something like that. That is like real hard labor that people do day to day and all that as opposed to like something from the gym . But yes, cardboard is a possibility.
Lifting
125 kg of
bricks.
cardboard.
Lifting bricks. That one will be wayang. Like, I mean, this one, at least the nice thing is like it feels like it's part of his routine and like he still did it. Yeah, he has a personal trainer and all, but ultimately to lift 125 kgs at the age of 63, that's still pretty badass lah.
So
right, and
so
I mean
another feather in the cap for your worship.
A feather in a cap. I mean feather in a cap for Shanmugam. Sure, I don't know how much this would do to encourage people to go exercise. But it's just that these articles are written about him lah. Which I'm like, okay. The one thing I do like is that he also wears Vibram 5 fingers. That running shoe.
But
that
not
looks
to
like
run, not to run. He's not wearing to run. He's wearing to lift weights.
Yeah, but no, in fact, for lifting weights, it's good because then you don't have like unnecessary cushion on your feet. It keeps you connected to the ground. It's a very minimalist shoe, and I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
No, I think these minimalist shoes are good for weightlifting because it's important to actually be able to feel the ground. But for running and all that, I think that it's not 100% proven that this new science that was in the last 20 years is necessarily good for you.
I fucking love it. But you have to change the way you run. You have to change the way you run. You with a boxing glove, you can punch a wall. I know you can punch a sandbag and all. But if you use minimalist gloves, you can't punch the same things that you train with a big like 14-ounce boxing glove. Same with running, bro. You need to be one with the ground. Be one with the ground.
But yeah, Shanmugam, man. Like you said, you have to give him props for being able to deadlift that much. And whether you think it's wayang or not, kind of relates to where you sit on in terms of voting as well, right?
No, why? What do you mean? If you're PAP supporter, you're like, wow, this is bomb, is it? This is dope.
Of course. Yeah. No, I mean, of course. I mean, that's why politicians do what they do, right? Like Shanmugam, I know he has a very soft spot for dogs. So I've seen him at a lot of dog events and all. I'm like, as a fellow dog owner, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, at least someone gives a shit about dogs, pets, welfare and all that kind of stuff. So it's it's just part of the job of the politician to be out there and be accessible and do things that make them look accessible to people. So I'm not gonna, it's also hard for me to shit on the parade by talking about how out of touch it is that he's got a gym membership and all. Because honestly, you can get a free gym membership even with Safra and all that as an NS man and all these things. So it does make me feel like very whiny when I'm complaining about stuff like that
Yeah. You do sound very whiny Terrence.
Yeah.
Yeah. They live. In fact, it's like symbolic, right? He's lifting. You go through life with weights on your shoulders, right? He's carrying the weight. Not to say that, for me, it's like, okay, you do this, good for you. I just found it funny that there are articles being written about it. Because that's a bit like, yo, man, wants to be fit, that's great. The other day, incidentally, I saw that Jack Neo actually does this 3 km walks once a week or something. And he just posted a few months ago for anyone to join him. And now hundreds of people show up with him. And that, to me, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Jack Neo, he goes on walks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Forrest Gump like that, kind of.
Yeah, it's like a Forrest Gump. Jack Neo is Singapore's Forrest Gump.
Yeah, but I was trying to think
showed up.
Which other political leader does something like that akin to exercising that everyone makes a fuss over? And I just remember when Justin Trudeau was able to do splits or something like
the plunge.
The plunge, what's that? Is that a yoga move?
No, it's the PLANCHE.
What's that?
It's where you kind of do how you say, you are balancing your body horizontally just on your arms.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
and it's a yoga thing, right?
It's more like a gymnastics thing, I think.
Oh, gymnastics thing, yeah.
The yoga thing is like a pro and all, yeah.
Yeah, so that went viral by itself, It's not like he was doing it for some special event or anything, right?
Yeah, he was in a classroom or something.
Oh, yeah. So that's where it doesn't seem so self-serving, when someone is just doing it on their own, and then maybe they make a video about it or what. But
no, but that one felt more self-serving because he was doing it in front of people or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, isn't Shanmugam here doing it in front of people?
But it was an event,
especially curated event.
It was an event where there was hype. No, a few weeks before, I think he said he aims to break his own personal record at this event which to his credit did make me realize, there's a Chongpang fitness event. I didn't know of it before.
Okay. Right. So it's marketing also. Right?
It's a marketing thing. It's a marketing thing. Right. And if it brought more people to the event, is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing or not, Terrence? If we were to have a interracial boxing match, right? And brought a lot more people to come watch us and ultimately brought in more Yalabat subscribers, more Ministry of Funny fans, more viewers of our TV shows, is that a bad thing? Maybe we should have an interracial.
It will be entirely self-serving, right?
But it could be entertaining, right?
Entertaining, I think, but here is whether does it inspire people to live healthier lifestyles?
But then after that we hug and all then we see a Chinese man and an Indian man can have a physical fight and still be friends after that.
okay, for the sake of like Singapore Kindness Movement or interracial, interracial council and all that.
Yeah, then halfway through we have like a Malay person come in, then another point an others person come in, and part of the mystery is like, oh, it's others, but what kind of other is he?
Others,
then it becomes a 4-way brawl, and then after that we all just hug. What better message for racial harmony? Yeah, exactly. Then I mean, yeah, okay, but that could go on so much longer, but I will end it there.
We're putting out suggestions for the People's Association, interracial boxing.
Interracial boxing. You have white collar boxing. Why not multicolored boxing as well?
Multicolored boxing.
Multicolored boxing, exactly.
All right.
All these gems of ideas,
that they'll never ever pay us for, but we still provide them free of charge every day for the good of Singapore. But
yes,
you know, from one good thing to another. What is your one Shiok comment of the last few days?
My one Shiok comment, let me pull it up. Would you happen to have something?
Yeah, I do. I think some people have realized, our intern, Tristan, has been helping us with some of the uploads of our things to social media and Reddit. And he also he's a moderator on our subreddit. And I think Jungle Jimbo 88 was asking him if he's going to engage in, like, you know, going to be part of the podcast and doing more. And they were having a little conversation within the subreddit talking about how Tristan can help by nudging both Terence and Harish to be more be a bit more active on Reddit, right? So I think that's also a call out to ourselves to we talk about the Reddit community being very cool and all, but you know, do we read everything, but do we respond all the time? Not really, because for various reasons, like life and all. But we do keep track of what people are talking about Reddit. We take screenshots, we share it with each other. So do continue posting stuff. But I think maybe just Harish, maybe just having a clearer acknowledgement of what people are talking about Reddit all would go a long way in
so this one, I think I'm more guilty. I like kudos to Terence for responding more. I know, Terence, you were fishing for that, and I won't deny it. I'm not as active, but I will be. I will be even in the lead up to the wedding over the next week. I will be. That's I'm putting it down. I will respond on Reddit for this week till I go off the grid next week.
But that's maybe also has to do with Reddit has become a bigger part of my social media diet, so to speak, right? I spend a lot less time on Facebook and Instagram now. I spend a lot more time on Reddit. Reddit to just, you know, find out what people are saying about things rather than just reading articles on Facebook or anything. So I find it interesting. You get very quick references, very quick redirects to better sources of information or alternative sources of information. I know that sounds like fake news, but what I mean is, like, sometimes you read an article and you kind of want to see like the opposing sides of things, and you can actually find it much quicker in the comments of a Reddit post.
And I think just last Friday we were at a meeting with someone and we were telling them why Reddit is so special. And it is true. It's a very different dynamic. If you haven't gotten on Reddit or consumed Reddit content, just go on, man. And there's many things about it that make it very unique, including its horrible visual user interface. Like I think someone would start Reddit now in this day and age, it would look a lot slicker, it would look a lot sexier. But I think the unsexiness of Reddit is what makes it special.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
And on to my one Shiok comment. My one Shiok comment was from edu-is on our podcast where we covered the Malaysian politics. Basically, they issued me a small correction in the sense that PN, PH, and BN, which are three terms you'll hear thrown about a lot in Malaysian politics. It stands for Perikatan Nasional, PN, Pakatan Harapan, PH, and Barisan Nasional, BN. I think I mentioned that they are political parties, but they are actually political alliances having multiple parties in them. So according to this user, they clarify that each of these parties can move between alliances, and some have done so in the past in between elections, which is what adds to the drama of Malaysian politics. So kudos, thanks for the clarification. Thanks for the clarification. But
That's cool.
yeah. What about your one Shiok thing, man?
My one Shiok thing is just something from, I think last week, the big upset at the World Cup was Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, right? Coming from behind to beat Argentina. So actually, there was footage of the Saudi Arabia's coach's speech during halftime to his team. And the coach's name is Hervé Renard. And the speech is, he delivers it in English with a French accent. And it still has to be translated to the Saudi Arabian players. So it's a very interesting dynamic where you see the translator working almost as hard as the coach to try and fire up the players. And it's a very, it's a very like powerful halftime speech. And you can really tell how much discipline and passion that the coach is trying to instill in his players. So yeah, do check out like what exactly inspired Saudi Arabia to come from behind and beat Argentina. So yeah, it's gone viral on the internet, and
the halftime
I'll
speech.
put a link. Yeah, that's right. It's pretty impressive to watch. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, even on that note, like this World Cup is damn exciting because yesterday night Morocco beat Belgium.
Yeah.
And then Costa Rica beat Japan, and Japan beat Germany. So now that so many groups are still wide open, man.
Yeah.
Which is
very
exciting,
tight.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yep. So what's your one Shiok thing?
My one Shiok thing is a clip I saw on TikTok, and I found a clip on YouTube also. It's just a clip of Kanye West, which really made me think, like, oh shit. Basically, in that clip, he's talking to someone, and he says that never in the history of mankind has $1 billion contract be ended because of a tweet. And he goes on to say, he thanks God that nobody was hurt, and now he's finally free. And then he says, "Gotcha." And I mean, I don't think it was recorded before because I mean it is quite specific to the recent controversy of his anti-Semitic tweet that caused Adidas to drop him. But then it made me think like, oh shit, basically Adidas ended the contract with Kanye West, right? For Yeezys, right? Which is the brand that they co-created together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think there were multiple reports saying that when that contract ended, Kanye West lost his billionaire status. But when I watched that video, I'm like, oh shit. In some sense, if I mean it's a possibility, right? That if you wanted to get out of a contract, sure you can try and break the contract, but there are probably some penalties and all that. But all he did was one tweet that okay, it dropped his contract, but the whole brand is ultimately like his now, and he has a lot more freedom, right? And then I was like, oh shit, wait a minute, is that true? Is that real? And then you look at someone like say Ronaldo, right? He was locked in with Man U. Apparently all these rumors of how they didn't want to let him leave and all, he went ballistic as well. And what happened? He's now a free agent and can go wherever he wants. And I don't think there's any penalties against him. I think they might sue him, but ultimately it got him freedom. Damn, like,
I mean, there was 16 million pounds or something. That was
that's
what
his salary.
He would be giving up in salary. Yeah.
Whether
he'd be able to find the equivalent elsewhere is another question. I think that's the unknown part, right? Whether anyone would be willing to pay.
But he may have some info that we would never know, right? But let's say if he had some info and he wanted to get out, he went ballistic. Kanye, who already has this brand that is so established, and he wanted out, and it just makes you think like, oh shit, maybe there was more to it. Maybe he didn't just post it because he's an anti-Semite.
Possibly, but he's also got a history of bipolar disorder.
Yeah, correct.
So I mean, you gotta take whatever he says at any point with a huge, like a huge spoonful of salt, if anything.
Yeah, I know. There's a big tinfoil hat on my head, but it did make me stop and think like, oh shit. It was something I never thought of before, and I know now even on YouTube you can find videos talking about it and all these commentaries and essays. I just thought that, oh wow, that's a very interesting perspective, lah.
Yeah, just try not to encourage people to tweet something racist tomorrow, hoping that you you can get fired from your job. And
there's no one. I mean, you probably will get fired, right? But everything has consequences. Terrence, you think people like just so? Hey, I have faith in the Yalabat audience. No, they are discerning and they are able to make their own decisions. Terrence.
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm just saying Kanye West is not the positive example of how to end a working relationship with somebody, right?
But it might be a possible way of ending a working relationship.
Not possible, but not positive, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's not positive. I mean, there are so many things that you would have to deal with. But I'm saying it's a new way that I never thought of. And even then, there might be a lot of things being missed out. But it made me think of like, okay, there are other aspects to it. There are other aspects to it. Not to say that I would ever do it or I would want someone to do that to me when I have a contractual relationship with them. But all I'm saying is another perspective, Terrence. Making me defensive or...
Yeah. It's, I mean, contracts. Honestly, contracts are just... It's just a piece of paper, right?
Ink on paper. Ink on paper.
When shit hits the fan, like... corporations don't have to follow contracts, ultimately.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. That's a great note to end the podcast on.
Great note to end the podcast. Shiok Thing. Exactly. Yeah, and you're back to shitting on my one Shiok Thing. Now it feels like good old times, Terrence?
Yeah.
It hasn't happened for so long. It hasn't happened for so long.
Such a positive Monday for you. It's a 7 out of 10 wedding week for you, so
it's a fragile 7 out of 10, okay?
So we can end on a bit of a lower note on the podcast.
You can go to 3 anytime, Terrence, okay? Just mind you.
Yeah.
But for now, it's still a 7. Cool,
right,
man.
Have a great week.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody.